Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, July 12, 2024. This is the day of the week that we turn back our broadcast time to 10 p.m. UK time to go ahead and share our global show with our friends on their time zone in the United Kingdom and everyone in Europe and everywhere else. We appreciate you all coming out to this episode of Disclosure Tonight. Before we jump into the top stories of the day, let's go ahead and take a look and welcome our participants that are in the chat. Remember, the chat's where it's at. Let you ask questions, have fun. Join. We'd love to have you in it. Who do we have out there? We have Agent Cat Eyes, Andy W., Brennan England, Craig Smith's here along with Destiny Rocks. I see Eliza Teal and Fireflies here along with Geraldine DeRazio. D7 just popped in along with Firefly and Idaho Strong. We have Invisible Tracker, JB, JCat, John Myatt Lockett, good to see you, my friend. Of course, Kelly Broke, those piercing blue eyes. Good to see you, Kelly. We have King Bull here along Johnny Half and Maritime Unprepared. Paul DeMond's around along with PC Anderson, Reality Check VIP. I see Ronnie Deals there. How about that? We've got Rodney Cox. Sam's here along with Shelly Montgomery, Steve Hines, and Peggy and her South Florida friends just popped in. Love you, Peggy. Hey, Google, what's the temperature in Florida?
The current temperature in Miami is 82 degrees.
82 degrees. Nice day. 45% chance of rain, but beautiful day, my friend. Wonderful time. Let's see who else we have there. We have Sam, Shelly Montgomery, Steve Hines, and of course, Super Unknown. Without any further delay, let me go ahead and jump into the studio. Mike, how the hell are you?
Doing well, and I'm really looking forward to the conversation that you and I are going to have with the audience on our international show today.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting.
It should be fun, yeah. And plus, it's an early Saturday for everybody. So if you're out there having some fun at the beach, wherever, listen in, have a fun time, my friends. All right, let's go ahead. What are we talking about today? Oh, yeah. The Senate Armed Services Committee had a vote yesterday, and it did not include anything for the UAP Disclosure Act. How about that? Who would have thought that our NDAA, our National Disclosure Act, where'd it go? What happened? Well, let's turn the clocks of time back 1 year to yesterday. Where did that go? Document solo. All right, here we go. A year ago today. Let's bring it in. The Schumer rounds reintroduced the most extraordinary legislation of all time. Well, they reintroduced it, yes, because this is the third time they're reintroducing it. The UAPDA suggests that the legacy program retrieved UFOs and biological evidence of non-human intelligence. Per rounds, it'll be reintroduced soon. Interesting. Granted, why there isn't any legislation out there yet, yes. While the NDAA advances, it's advancing without specifically the UAP Disclosure Act. Yes, let's get to this first tweet on this one here. The Senate Armed Services Committee on July 9th, 2025 approved in a vote of 26-1 its version of the fiscal year 26 National Defense Authorization Act. The SASC, the Senate Armed Services Committee, acted in closed-door sessions and has not yet posted bill text. However, the SASC did post. Yeah, how about that? They've got it there, Mike. There is no NDAA. Actually, let's get into his next post on this one. Did post an executive summary of the committee-approved bill found at the link below. Of course, the summary contains no references to UAP, RO, etc. There are references to unmanned aircraft systems, also known as UAS, and counter-UAS. Also, the House Armed Services Committee posted the base bill with chairman's mark for its version of House HR 3838 of the FY26 NDAA and the recommended bill and report language approved by the 6 HASC subcommittees. My search found no reference to UAP, RO, etc. Now, many provisions deal with unmanned aerial systems and counter unmanned aerial systems, and a few provisions deal with unmanned undersea vehicles. The HASC will hold a markup, an amendment session on HR 3838 on July 15th, which will be open and live streamed. Something we may want to consider covering, Mike.
Absolutely, Thomas. I agree.
But
That
it's
would be
one of these things. There has been a lot of talk about the National Disclosure Act. I mean, the UAP Disclosure Act coming out. I just have to wonder, why not put the language through the committee, unless the committee would never approve it?
Oh, I don't think they would approve it at this point. We've been talking about that a lot lately. It's really something that the more information that comes out, it's almost like disclosure is slowly dying on the vine, especially in Washington.
Yeah, we wish it'd be moving. You know, it just hurts you right here for all the stuff we've covered, all the things that have gone on, all the different actions that people out there have tried to bring forward. It seems even if we get people like David Grush to come forward, nothing happens.
Nope.
But I guess Chip Happen says, I haven't seen this yet. Burleson said today that they're going to have a new hearing before the recess in August. I guess he had talked about that. That means, okay, so let me go ahead and find this. I'll just bring this up really quick. Let's bring up the House Oversight hearing calendar. That isn't it. I know I had this up yesterday. Dang it, where did it go? Let me go ahead and find this, Mike, and bring it right up. But this is one of those things that we're looking at, and it's, you look at the calendar. I'm going to see if I can find this really quick. Nope, that's not it. Maybe it's this one. Okay, here's the calendar. All right. Let me go ahead and bring this up and I can explain it to everybody. Let's get into it. All right, so this is the Oversight Committee calendar. Make it a little bit larger that you can see. And right now, the committee is actually, sorry if the numbers are too small. I wish I could make it bigger, but government sucks. So let's get past this. The last day that the Senate will be the House of Representatives will be in session will be on August 4th, which is the 31st, 1, 2, 3, 4, which is a Monday. Actually, on Monday, they go on vacation, which actually the last day that they could potentially have a hearing, Mike, will be on the 1st of August. So that gives us the House comes back into session on the 14th, which is Monday, right?
Yeah.
Now, the rules are for the House of Representatives Oversight Committee that any hearings must be scheduled 1 week in advance. So that gives them, on the 14th, if it's scheduled on the 14th, the soonest day they could have it is on the 21st. So this basically gives them, a 1 week here, 1 week out, get to hear 1 week out. The last possible day they could file for a hearing, I believe, Mike, would be on Friday, July 25th.
Yeah, and that's cutting it really close.
And that would take it to the last day that Congress will be here before they go on vacation.
Correct. Now, Burleson talked about not wanting to have one but two hearings scheduled. I don't see how that's possible.
How? Well, I guess they could technically schedule two right back to back because these hearings only go on for a couple hours, don't they?
Well, the second hearing he was talking about publicly recently, he wants to get cabinet members like having the ODNI, Tulsi Gabbard, questioned about all the information that the UAP hearings have taken under oath so far. But I don't really see them working that quickly or agreeing to any of those things. It's a pipe dream at this point, based on the logistics that we're talking about right now.
Yeah. We all want to see it move forward. We are not someone who says, no, we don't want the UAP Disclosure Act to move forward. We have been behind this all along, although there are a lot of things in the UAP Disclosure Act that we openly don't agree with. For instance, following the same process that they followed for the Kennedy assassination documents release, where the President of the United States had the opportunity to go ahead and lock these documents away for perpetuity, which is what Biden did. But luckily, Trump actually overrode that executive choice.
He did. Just to stick it to Biden.
Yeah. Well, he had actually listened to, was it Mike Pompeo or somebody listened to before?
Yes, he did.
And Mike said, no, don't go ahead and bring this stuff forward. It would be bad for
national security.
National security. But here's the thing. The stuff that was released, was it bad for national security?
No.
Which means they didn't give us all the stuff, did they?
No, they certainly didn't. No smoking gun there, Thomas.
You know, this almost kind of reminds me of simply what's been going on with the Epstein documents lately. They said they had this stuff. They're going to bring it out. And all of a sudden, oh, we're done. There's nothing else that we're going to release because we've released it already.
Yeah, we've covered this several times on the show already. Didn't Pam Bondi claim it was the entire list sitting on her desk?
Yeah.
And then it never existed.
Right.
Go figure.
Yeah. Well, apparently, what was it? Yesterday, there was a screaming match, potentially, between Dan Bongino, who's in the FBI, along with Pam Bondi in the White House. But here's the thing. Do you think it was Pam's decision not to bring the documents out, or did it come from her boss, the president-in-chief?
Yes, no, it came directly from her boss,
yeah.
Who hired her, the current sitting president, and without a doubt. So that decision was from the top, and now she seems to be getting thrown directly under the bus for it. Yeah.
Kind of like what's happened with Tulsi Gabbard. Well, she fired some people for releasing information under FOIA that should have been released, right. But the PAO was fired for releasing the information that the public was due in the first place. And I wonder why that person was fired. It probably came down saying, Tulsi, either you fire that guy or I will fire you.
Right. Oh, there seems to be a lot going on from the top that's not publicly known.
Yeah.
It doesn't look good, though.
No, it doesn't. It seems, a couple of years ago, when they said that the Air Force, we brought this one out years ago, they had said that the Air Force was trying to put the disclosure genie back in the bottle, right? Everyone said, no way in hell. There's no way this is going to happen, but it's been happening. Corporal Abe, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I just saw a post on Facebook from a military channel that I follow that says that Kash Patel will no longer be leaving the FBI and that it was all a conspiracy theory that he was. But wasn't he on a few podcasts saying that he was considering leaving if certain things weren't released? Or if certain people also left, like Bongio, I think, was a name that got mentioned. So I'm confused as to, was he told he can't leave, or what's going on here?
Don't know. Maybe he was given an offer he couldn't refuse.
Exactly. That's what it sounds like.
Now, it was rumored yesterday that Kash Patel was going to potentially leave and Bongino was going to leave. Both of them were going to go. We've gotten a statement from Kash Patel, but we haven't gotten a statement yet from Dan Bongino, have we?
No.
I thought Bongino already temporarily stepped aside.
No, he hasn't. He just hasn't shown up.
Right.
Not going to work. That's not a good look.
Hey, come on. Sometimes when people don't agree with something, Mike, what was it called? The blue flu at one time?
Yes, sir. When the police officers were in a contract dispute or a policy dispute, they would contract the blue flu, which would mean unexpected sick time. No one would be going into work. So, yeah, it could be something like that, which would be a protest.
Wasn't it this administration that was saying that if veterans didn't go to work or relate, that they were on the chopping block in the VA?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Cool. So
it was people who were not working out of their office, and if they didn't come back in the office, they'd be on a chopping block. But this isn't like people.
It was all those prior early hires. Remember back then, it wasn't just those people that weren't returning, those digital people. It was anybody who was in that early adoption after COVID that got bought on. They got let go.
Well, any of the people who were, what were they? Any of the people who were what do you call it? When you first probationary period for the first period of time. Any people who are on probation coming in for the federal government, that was the first, if you want to call it, let's wipe the slate clean kind of we're going broke and we can't afford all these people. But yeah. But Dan, one day not coming into the office, anybody can be sick.
Bongio. Okay, I mean, but we don't. I do believe that Bongio is sick.
Well, maybe, sick days these days isn't just for sick. It's sick and PTO. So maybe he has some personal things. Maybe he has a crisis going on in his head that he wouldn't be able to put his attention to do his job.
Like Mike said, maybe it's the blue flu.
Yeah. Actually, I said it.
It was actually
Tom said, okay, well, like Tom said, it was the blue flu.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Thank you. So, Mike, interesting times all around. We want to see the National Disclosure Act come forward. It just seems there's a lot of bullshittery going on in D.C., which seems to be par for the course these days.
Unfortunately, it's, the more time that goes by as we're covering this, it's obvious to us that disclosure is not looking too optimistic right now. And it's really a shame because it should be moving in a positive manner. And we keep getting pushed back bit by bit. I don't know if it's incompetence or if it's accidentally on purpose, but regardless, doesn't change the fact that we're not gaining any further forward momentum at this point.
Yeah,
what do you think?
There isn't forward momentum. Really, it's been drip. 2025 was supposed to be the banner year once again for disclosure, and it hasn't moved. Andy, what say you?
Yeah, I think they're actually trying to kill this whole subject. We've had all these incidents with the for want of a better word, drones. We had the incidents over North America a year or two ago. We've had a lot happening. But yeah, everybody just seems, we've now you've got Ross Coulthard is doing what Ross Coulthard's doing. We've had issues with Lou with his crop irrigation, UFO
misinterpretations of documents, and not working with a full team potentially.
Yeah, we've had David Grush came out with, when he first came out, then he was supposed to do his op-ed. Now he's gone total radio silence.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems that everything's being pushed back now. Yeah, unless something major happens actually out in the wide world, and Jeremy Corbell's doing a good job, I think. I know a lot of people don't like him. He is bringing people forward. He seems at the moment to be him and George Knapp seem to be the two people that are pushing as hard as they can. They've potentially got all of these whistleblowers. Whether we'll see any of them or all of them, I don't know. But it seems there's less and less people who are on the push side. We're obviously pushing this show, your show. You and Mike are pushing, and some of the other people you're collaborating with, but it just seems it's becoming more of an uphill struggle.
Yeah. And 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. 1 step forward, 2 steps back. It seems like we're getting pulled back more and more over time with more people chipping in, which I got a story about someone from the UK who's actually chiming up about the Tic Tacs to go ahead and, throw water on the fire, not gasoline.
Yeah, to me at the moment, it doesn't seem 2 steps forward. It seems we've gone to 1 step forward and about 3 steps back.
Yep.
So, we're on that it's that tipping point again. We seem to get periodically, things start looking as though they're going to start, the floodgates are going to open and it's all going to come out, and all of a sudden something changes in the mood of people in this subject or whatever, and it seems to go on about turn 180 degrees, and we end up back, if not where we were 2 or 3 years ago, worse off, I think.
Yeah. I've been going back through the archives, Andy, of all the content that we bring down and show on Disclosure 10. There's a lot of stuff that we cover that I bring down that I don't even necessarily cover sometimes because there used to be such a great amount of it. But looking back around 2020, 2021, that was the peak of disclosure. Maybe in 2022, but I'd almost say it was in 2021 when a lot of stuff was going on. That was peak in 2022 through now. It's just been a slow decline, like our viewers.
Yeah, we seem to be on the downhill curve at the moment, don't we? It could all change next week. Who knows? As we've all been aware with this subject, it chops and changes with the wind. Something will happen, like we had the drone swarms, and then it picks up again, and then it dies off a bit, and I think unfortunately at the moment we've crested that wave and we're on the downward slope.
Yeah. I hear you, my friend. I couldn't agree with you absolutely more. If we can, Ed Brown, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, Thomas, you and Andy, I think are really on to a key point here. Earlier, I had my hand up about talking about that time period. And you know how I feel about this. I feel that disclosure and the rapture are going to be co-located or occur at the same time. Now, that could also go back to what you and Andy were talking about on why is it that we're not seeing direct movement forward. If my theory is correct, then both of them have to be aligned perfectly for it to occur. And if all of a sudden the disclosure people get the feeling that there's something breaking and the other side of it's not ready for a full disclosure, it holds it back a little bit. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, Mike, what are your thoughts?
An event in one can affect the outcome of the event in another.
And if we are facing a prospect like that, why is it that it seems like disclosure is dying on the vine with the people participating in Washington, D.C. on this? Wouldn't you think that if they were aware of information like that they would be trying to push this forward instead of having it, like Thomas said, one step forward and two steps back? It doesn't really make a lot of sense, does it?
The problem is who is controlling the timeline and who is it that's making those decisions. It makes sense if you make the simple assumption that for the two of them to occur, the two events to occur simultaneously and with intent and purpose, then they have to be aligned. There has to be coming to fruition of those events at the same time or within close proximity. I've studied this enough now to know that some people think that rapture, for those that believe in it, I'm not saying everybody does by any stretch of the imagination, but for those that do, they assume it's going to be an instant event. Others are now saying that may be a period of time, weeks or months as it leads up to that final one. And of course, that does point to my conclusion that in the end times, the people that are left behind, assuming there's a rapture, the people that are left behind are going to be told that this is not religious. This is strictly an invasion from ETs from another solar system, and they're invading us and they're abducting us in countless numbers. I mean,
while I am perfectly set up to talk about a different story, as you're talking about the rapture, Ed, the rapture, if you would want to call it, happens on this planet on a regular basis. What am I talking about here? Let me bring up an infographic to go ahead and share with everybody. Desktop. Go. All right, here we go. And this is a good infographic coming from someone I follow on Twitter called Massimo. Do you know the Earth's magnetic field deflects a huge amount of solar material? Each second, 1.5 million tons of solar material shoot off of the sun, traveling at hundreds of miles per second. And as you can see by this particular image we've got going here of this animation that's happening, the one thing that's protecting our planet right now from all of this radiation coming down to why did I screw up on here that I am like down there? Anyway, what we're looking at here is with all this material coming down, if in the chance that there we go. If we lose our magnetic shield on the planet, all that radiation, all that material will be raining down the planet on a regular basis. And here's the thing, something like this, a magnetic field going low and then coming back up again, or almost shutting down and coming back up again, or shutting down and then the poles flipping, goes on a regular basis, like every 6,000 or 12,000 years. And we're at that time where we've got the southern Atlantic magnetic anomaly that is getting bigger. It's getting so big, it's splitting into two strong points, one over South America, the other one that's over the Atlantic, and they're increasing in size and scale. So potentially, the rapture would have caused humanity to move underground. That's why we have the underground cities in Turkey, like Derinkuyu. Why we have all these cities that were built into the sides of mountains like Petra and other places where at certain times it's not safe to be on the surface of the planet. And right now, if that ties to the religious stories, which are tying it to God, but it's actually a natural event that's coming from the center of our galaxy, that is where we're headed right now, Ed. We're in the next, 20 to 30 years, give or take, maybe sooner.
Yeah, I agree with you, Thomas. And, a lot of those signs are pointing that way. And as you were elaborating on that, I was thinking, okay, you are right. Every, 3,000 to 6,000 years, there have been cycles that have caused various things to occur, some of which were solar related, but maybe not the big one. Maybe we're waiting on the really, really, really big one, which is right around the corner. So what would make that one particularly bigger than the previous ones is the confluence of all the other factors occurring at the same time.
Well, is the rapture that happens when fire and brimstone falls from the sky?
So that would occur after that, if you're following that timeline.
Right. So we lose a magnetic field, right? Then we get hit by a huge coronal mass ejection that comes on and hits the planet head on. There's your fire and brimstone.
Yeah, well, the good news, for those that believe it, I throw this disclaimer in every time. You don't have to buy this theory. The good news is that if that should occur, theoretically, in my timeline, the rapture would have already occurred. So the nice people will have already been taken by that point.
Yeah. Interesting. It's something we'll have to figure out and get there over time, whichever it could be. Ed, I like where you're coming from. I think a lot of people in our audience resonate with that. Thank you.
Well, it's growing in strength, and I'm doing Grog searches and ChatGPT, and every week they get closer and closer to agreeing with me. And I don't know that's because I keep bugging them or because it's really getting closer to a determination that this is really right on our.
Have you tried Grok 4 and DeepSeek?
Yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Here's one thing I can conclude. By next September, you'll either think I'm the smartest man on earth or a total idiot that went off the deep end. But time will have to wait for that to occur.
Absolutely, my friend. I hear you. Mike, what are your thoughts on this?
I think you're the smartest man on earth, Ed.
No, listen, Ed makes some interesting points, like we've talked about before. And I don't really think we're headed for a rapture that, we've been discussing here anytime soon. And I think that right now the focus is on how disclosure seems to be dying on the vine, at least in Washington, D.C., which is not a good sign.
Does the rapture talk about the harvesting of souls?
I think that's at the rapture itself.
What?
That occurs at the moment of rapture.
At the moment of rapture, there is a harvesting of souls. If the rapture is actually something by non-human intelligence, which feasts on our souls potentially, just saying, bad times anyway.
Well, we've always said, be careful what you ask for. You may get what you ask for, and you may not appreciate it.
Yeah.
I wonder about that many times. If we are asking for true disclosure, is going to result in us at the end saying, "Oh crap! I wish I wouldn't have asked for that." Because now I know the truth, and I don't want to know the truth.
Well, sometimes it's better to know the truth than it is to live a lie.
Yeah, well, that's true. But yeah. I'm just trying to encourage you and Mike again, and everyone that seems to be down on these trends. We're talking in these two events. The Rapture event is a 2,000-year-old prediction. The disclosure is an 80-year-old prediction, rough figures. And we're quibbling over, a year or two here, a year or two there. Let's just face the fact, it's close. It is really close.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly hope not for the rest of us. We all want to live long, wonderful lives, and we're not looking for that to end anytime soon. And I don't really care what age you're at. That's true for everybody. It's human nature. So I'm hoping that that does not come true, Ed.
Let me go ahead and stop this really quick. I need to go back to this question someone asked. So what is a soul? Conduction of your nerves? NA/K pumps, action potential. Come on, we believe in science. Yeah, we do. But one of the recent theories, and based on observations, Mike, that came out, I think it was yesterday or the day before, they're saying that our consciousness, our soul is, what is it from again?
The quantum
entanglement, which means our quantum consciousness is tied to another consciousness, that it's another place someplace else, but they're quantumly entangled, right?
Correct. So there is scientific proof that is delving into this subject matter area that is very interesting.
Yeah.
And there could be a connection.
Yeah. True, my friend.
I agree.
Yeah. Absolutely. Great conversation. I'm enjoying this show today, my friend.
So
now,
far.
To get back to some stuff in the UK. No, let's say, can we say oh God, where did I just do with that? Son of a bitch. All right, let me get this up here again. I thought I had, is it over here? Oh, there we go. Let me bring it down here so I can look at the camera and talk through this one. Let me bring up our dear infographic. Well, we can say, folks, he's done it again. What am I talking about? Let me bring it up with the guest large. All right, here we go. Yes, our friends. Oh, Professor Simon, Mike, has done it again.
Oh, I'm sure he has.
We didn't think he'd be back, but he is certainly back, and he's commenting on the Tic Tacs in a way that we didn't think somebody would.
Right. This will be good.
Oh, it's going to be really good, my friend. Let's get into this. What are we talking about? So, headline, Professor Simon reacts about David Fravor. More importantly, he misrepresents Fravor's observations about the Tic Tac as atmospheric only. Now, Simon repeatedly states that the Tic Tac, quote, stayed in our atmosphere, end quote, and showed no horizontal movement, implying it's consistent with a long-time loiter or pseudo-satellite drone. What the hell? But the problem is Fravor explicitly states that the object accelerated horizontally at incredible speed. The cap point it appeared at was 60 miles away in a matter of seconds, suggesting that instantaneous horizontal displacement is not just vertical ascent. Don't forget the Tic Tacs were at 80,000 feet, went down to 50 feet in a fraction of a second, and they were traveling, what, Mike, at 56,000 miles per hour?
Yes. They dropped down from above 80,000 feet, which is space, to 50 feet above the surface of the ocean in 3/4 of a second, Thomas.
Yeah.
Huge velocity.
Yeah. Daryl, your hand is up. Your thoughts?
Yes, I just wanted to ask a question. Where is Professor Simon? What university is he a professor at?
He is a YouTube personality. He's not really a professor.
Yeah, that was my point. Thank you.
He's involved with the university, but not really teaching at this point.
It's definitely not a dental academy.
He's like our Bill Nye the Science Guy, right? Is that right, Mike?
Correct. That's correct.
Someone who represents science, but is not necessarily a scientist.
A scientist.
Yeah.
Also correct. Yep. Yeah. We have one here in America, too.
So while Simon claims it's a DOE or NRO pseudo-satellite without evidence, Simon suggests the craft is likely, quote, a vacuum buoyant drone commissioned by the DOE for long loitering pseudo-satellite operations. The problem is there's no documentation or insider source given to support this. Even the members of the Navy who witnessed this have thrown any of these, what do you call it, assumptions out as cockamamie. The DOE is not a known operator of loitering drones in military airspace, and they wouldn't be bringing these things into the middle of a military practice operation. And while the NRO does task satellite reconnaissance, there is no publicly available evidence that they follow low-altitude drones or from submarines. Also, the Navy has denied any knowledge or coordination of any such operation during the Nimitz event. So, what the heck is up with that? Let's move on. Is it misunderstandings or oversimplification of controlled airspace? While Simon argues, quote, multiple agencies can operate within the same MOA as long as they're communicating. But the problem is, Fravor was told no one else was communicating, and the lack of a transponder signal or radio communications or a NOTAM, which is a notice to airmen filings, suggests this was not an officially coordinated test. Go figure. Where does that go? And it should be treated as unknown. Now, if this were a known Department of Energy or NRO, National Reconnaissance Office test, it would have been logged, especially with that kind of behavior in a joint training environment. Now, Simon also confuses jamming and metamaterials with common drone technology. Really? Simon mentions the object demonstrated, quote, active radar jamming, diffraction using metamaterials, and optical sensors. What? But Fravor also noted there was electronic warfare interference on the APG-73 radar, and that is not standard for pseudosatellites or loitering drones. So, Mike, clearly Simon here, or Professor Simon, is confusing things. It almost feels like he's getting paid to say this, or maybe is he taking the Ross Coulthart approach to make himself famous with controversy? Corporal Abe, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, jamming naval aircraft with electronic warfare is an act of war towards the United States and the Navy. So, no, I really don't think that Professor Simon knows exactly what he's referencing here.
I don't think so either, my friend. Great observation. So let's go ahead and move on. Oh, did I get this? Okay, so metamaterials with radar deflecting capability are still experimental even in 2025. Simon is clearly mixing advanced theoretical tech with current operational platforms without sourcing. He doesn't have anything. Again, we're dealing with assumptions. And Mike, what happens when you assume? You make an ass out of you and me. So, while he also, Professor Simons claims that there was no horizontal movement, but there was. While Simon insists nobody saw it move horizontally, it just appeared at the cap point. Well, the problem with that is the radar operators did track it, and Fravor described the object zipping off horizontally. The notion that the object somehow climbed vertically only and then reappears some 60 miles away ignores the radar data and all eyewitness interpretation. Andy, your thoughts?
Yeah, well, that who was it? Who we had on? Who was the radar operator? His name,
Kevin Day.
Kevin Day. Yeah, he confirmed. I did ask him a question. Did you actually track this on the radar? And he confirmed it was tracked on the radar. I believe so. If people want to go back to that issue of that episode of the show, from what I took it, he was seeing whatever this craft was on the radar, the total time it was, when it was transitioning from wherever Commander Fravor saw it to the cap point. That was the way I took how he said it. It didn't completely disappear from the radar. It actually tracked along the radar track to the cap point. So, yeah. And that came from Kevin Day. Yeah.
Again, we have these armchair quarterbacks, which I am sometimes. In some way, we assess stuff. But they're going off, and it's like they're doing whatever they can to discredit the people from the incident who were involved with this, right? For their own, a bunch of clowns. Whoever did that in the chat, absolutely.
I think, people need to look back and gain view as many interviews with these people, Commander Fravor, Kevin Day, all the other people who've come forward who were involved with this subject. You know, they really need to delve deeply into what all of the interviews to see what these people say, because actually you tend to find on one interview they'll bring up a small piece of information and then another one, and they're not muddying the waters.
Yeah.
But you can build a timeline through watching all of these different interviews. If
Well,
somebody
Andy,
Mike.
since Ross came out with this statement, a lot of these key individuals have come out recently and spoken out against that statement. Chad Underwood was the person who took the actual Tic Tac video that we've all seen. Kevin Day was tracking over 100 of these objects on radar for 10 days while this was going on. And what David Fravor has said publicly, and he recently came out and said, no, there is no way that Lockheed Martin had created the Tic Tac, not then or now. It's impossible. And Chad Underwood gave a really good explanation. He said that, let's say it was some experimental technology that entered into the testing range where the Nimitz carrier group was operating out of. He would have immediately been read in on what he had photographed and had to sign numerous NDAs blocking him from talking about it. He said that never happened.
Yeah.
So it didn't happen with any of them.
I think, you know, and I'm not blowing the trumpet of this show, but I think, you know, that's the issue you have with the Professor Simons and Ross Coulthards. They are portraying their side of the story with nobody to back up. I think the one thing with this show is because of all of us in the back here who are able to chip in, you know, you and Mike, you Mike and Thomas may have your opinions. We can sometimes, well, hang on, look at it this way. You know, there's no checks and balances in other shows, whereas we do provide a slight checks and balance. You know, it's only their word for what they have to say. So I think that's how the format of this show works. With
Thomas and myself, we do due diligence when we cover a story, and we provide all of the facts on both sides.
Mike, I got to butt in on this one really quick. I've been wanting to bring this out for a bit. I always get in trouble for butting on conversations, but this is relevant. Question. Did all the pushback about the Tic Tac and everything that's been going on recently come after the point that Tim Phillips, the former interim director of ARO, acknowledged that we don't know what the hell these things are? And he told about the story about the data being taken off to DARPA.
Yeah, that was a follow-up interview after the Wall Street Journal article came out. Yeah.
So it seems like a lot of the stuff going after the Tic Tac incident, like Ross going ahead and following Greer's lead and calling it out and saying it's from Lockheed. Now we've got stuff from Simon here and many others going all and attacking on the Nimitz event. It almost seems like it is a coordinated action to deal with Tim Phillips, who may have said something that the deep state didn't want to hear.
You could potentially be correct on that. It's a strong possibility. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
Gene has his hand up. Hi, Gene. Thanks for coming on the show.
Hey, how you doing? Good to be back.
Good to see you, my friend.
Out of pocket a few days. The VA was poking and prodding at me, and just horrible. But in any event, it gave me time. A couple of us were diving into the Tic Tac, issue this over the week, and I started posting some stuff last night because from a scientific perspective, again using Chernayev's sort of formula, unified theory. There was like a 56%, 60% chance Lockheed could have done it based upon their technology.
Oh, hell no.
Well, based upon, again, just trying to view it neutrally, right? Trying to eliminate some confirmation bias. But even then, there's still, 75% chance that it was, of exotic origins. It's all about the origins.
Right.
Even if they could do it, where did it come from?
Right.
And somebody made the analogy earlier this week I thought was great. They're like, everything in science comes from nature, whether it was the apple on Newton's head or Einstein thinking about light. What in the world did somebody observe that made him say, "Oh, we need to go, faster than
Speed of light.
levitate in gravity"? And what'd you observe in nature that defied gravity?
Right. No, those are good points, Gene.
Yeah.
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 But as you have heard me and Thomas making points about this, the reality that our government is in possession of technology like that these claims that have been coming forward since the propaganda hit piece came out in the Wall Street Journal, it's not logically realistic. So it's just unfortunate. I mean, I wish there was proof to substantiate and back up these claims, which there obviously is not. So we have no choice but to point that out, which I'm sure you can understand, Gene.
No, absolutely. And that's why I think the origins question, continues to sort of be that key for the people who are able to ask those questions to ask and,
Right.
and chase it down, because I think the compartmentalization, the narrative control all the way, gives them viable excuses for at least to blow it off before somebody asks too close of a question.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I understand. But unfortunately, like Thomas and I are pointing out, it seems that a lot of the narrative right now about the Tic Tacs originating from Lockheed is part of the propaganda that was put out by Susan Goff and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick.
Oh, no,
formerly of
even
ARROW.
more by Dr. Stephen Greer.
Oh, well, it seems that is the primary source
Yeah.
of this information, which we're obviously not agreeing with for good reason. It's laughable at face value, claims like that, especially without anything to back up or prove said claims.
Now,
which
don't
so
forget,
far there's
Mike,
none.
there were videos put out of the Tic Tac going back to the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
All in the same area where it's been seen around Catalina Island and such.
And didn't we recently we covered a story about how the Tic Tacs was seen again in that area off San Diego back in 2015?
Yeah,
On
there
or
were
about?
some shots coming from Google that were in the Maps application or Google Earth where you could bring up and see a couple Tic Tacs that were actually around the island at that time that were captured by satellite.
Right. So it seems to be a hot spot in that area with objects like this that are obviously anomalous.
Close to the beehive, I'd say.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
A good point. Laura has a hand up. Go ahead, Laura.
Speaking of times, there was an old case that was in Texas, I believe, too. I'd have to look it up, but it looked just like the Tic Tac. But just to name off a few, if Lockheed's been really busy for really a long time in our history, people forget. Dolan had mentioned this the other night. He was just, discussing why this is highly unlikely that it's Lockheed. 1936, we had Northwest Territories of Canada, one was cited. 1948, Alabama. 1965, Atlantic Ocean. 1967, the Atlantic Ocean. 1972, Norway. 1972, Saranac Lake. Yeah. 1973, we had Venezuelan coast. 1981, we had South Carolina. And then go back even further, people were discussing propane looking like vehicles floating in the air, hovering. Okay, let's not forget our history. That's what's really annoying. People always think of current things. And just because they didn't get photographs of it, all these people can't be lying about the same object. It's not logical.
Yeah.
I
Thank
would
you.
agree with that.
Yeah.
And that's a good segue, Thomas, I think, into the Richard Dolan clip.
Oh, I guess, but I'm almost done. I haven't finished off the stuff with Professor Simon yet. We still have a couple of those left if we could get through this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
All
Let's
right,
do
so next, Simon implies there were two craft without evidence. He speculates that, quote, maybe there were two Tic Tacs. One went up, one was already at the cap point, end quote. The problem is, this is a conjecture with no backing. There's zero evidence in any testimony for a second craft. The theory is introduced to force fit his drone narrative. But don't remember, I mean, if you remember, there was a giant craft the size of, a 747 underwater. The Tic Tacs and was boiling the water, kind of, where this was at. And they saw initially the Tic Tacs hovering in an erratic matter over those objects. Remember that one?
I do, very clearly.
Yeah. How could those be in the upper atmosphere? It just doesn't make sense. But what's most concerning is that Simon ends with, this was an alien. This was a piece, I think, of human technology that the Navy didn't know about. This mirrors the disinformation style narrative that ultra advanced, non-acknowledged tech is being tested without notifying fleet operators. While it's plausible, except Fravor, the Princeton, the radar operators, and multiple intelligence reports never confirmed any classified program as a source. If it was a U.S. tech test, the failure to disclose endangered aviators and violated important protocol. Now, what's the final verdict here? Simon Holland's video attempts to reframe the Tic Tac encounter as a human test vehicle, but he misrepresents Fravor's and Kevin Day's accounts. He conflates radar jamming with known drone capability. He makes leaps without citations or involvement. Offers zero hard evidence beyond interference. He fails to explain why none of the involved Navy or radar personnel had acknowledged such of a program. It's narrative building, not evidence-based analysis, that's kissing up to Susan Goff and the DOD, Mike.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And that's not a good place to be. And again, like you pointed out, there is not a shred of evidence to back up any of these claims.
Yeah.
Can't ignore that.
Yeah.
So
what do we take away from this? Beware the disinformation agents. Simon Holland isn't an academic professor. He's a filmmaker and YouTuber, one that is spreading misinformation, not unlike Ross Coulthart is. So, this is one of those things we look at and we get into. But, there's a lot of stuff that's coming up about this. Our audience is steaming about this one, but it's just more bullshit to fill the airwaves to try and pull disclosure and move it further back.
What's the motivation behind it? What's the motivation behind it, though?
Clicks, attention, jumping on
really,
the government narrative.
In the sun? I mean, but how does that, because I've heard Simon before say that, okay, we need to use disclosure to bring humanity together. So how does this help his case, his audience? Maybe it is clickbait, I guess. You're right. But how does it help Ross Coulthart, though? He doesn't need the clickbait. He's a global, everybody knows him. Well, not everybody. But
it gets everybody talking about Ross, doesn't it?
That's true.
Gets everybody focused on Ross. Distractions, yes, Kelly. It turns Ross and whoever's saying this into this subject, and everybody is certainly talking about this person, including people that would never talk about it. Controversy, right, Abe?
Main character. You're
right. When is it? You see so many people that were embedded within military and at different situations, whether it was in Iraq or different places or different stories going on in different parts of the world, right? The story is never about the reporter or the research they're doing or what they're involved in. It's about the people they're with and what they're reporting on. But Ross has switched up the cards to make the story be about him. And that's just the big concerning point I have, that we're getting a lot of supposition coming in with his own feelings, and he's gone from a reporter to an entertainment commentator like you'd get on the nightly news on Fox News.
Yeah, he's a Fox News contributor on UFOs.
Well, it's not just Fox News. It's CNN. It's MSDNC. It's all the different news stations that are out there. We no longer have reporters. We have entertainers who are in these places.
It's the same with the politicians, though, isn't it?
Well, politicians are actually elected.
But they're elected entertainers, because look how they dress compared to when our parents were alive. They didn't dress that way. They didn't act the same. There was more professionalism.
Oh yeah, I hear you, my friend. We got a bunch of those out there in the House of Representatives right now. Andy, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to ruffle some feathers right now. Yeah, I saw our Liberty Astro Daryl in chat. You know, Ross is supposed to be like the lead one. Well, who'd have thought this? I actually think the one who's the lead now is Corbell. Well,
I've been saying that, Andy, and I'm right there with you, my friend. He's grabbed the torch and he's running with it.
Yeah, you know, as much as all the hatred that people have thrown to this guy, you know, I know he gets very passionate. His language is somewhat, you know, fruity and colourful at times, but he's genuinely passionate about this subject. And actually, I think he's one, and people can throw mud at me if they want, they can throw anything. I think he's the one who's actually leading the cause now, Corbell and that. You know, what's happened to Ross? I think you're right. I think he's gone for clicks, and you know, he's now employed, and you know, as you said before, he's bringing out more sensational stories to keep himself in a job. You know, Corbell, I think, is the one pushing this, and yeah, I'm
As we
I'm
looked
quite
around,
glad
we
of that
noticed
in a
we
way.
saw some whitewater.
So yeah, people can throw mud at me if they want, but yeah, I think the person to watch at the moment is Corbell. I think he's genuine, and you know, he's sincere, and he's trying to do his damn best. And if he gets somewhat emotional over this subject, I think he's a guy, you know, we really need to watch. I've got a lot of time for Jeremy, and people might hate me for that, but yeah.
No, nothing to hate about it. But even you call him kind of fruity. But even Luke, when he was listening to initially, wasn't watching, didn't know who he is. Luke was like, "Who's that Muscle Mary talking right now?"
Yeah, but I actually, when he brought out, who was it? Matthew, the latest whistleblower that he brought out. Actually,
Matthew Brown, yes.
Matthew Brown. I thought actually Corbell did a very, very good interview. It was, you know, he was asking some very good questions. You know, if he tones down his temperament and his exuberance, you know, I think, yeah, he's the one to be watching, really.
Yeah, he has taken the lead. I agree with you, Andy. He's someone who's out there, who's actually connecting with the mass media consistently, has a great appearance about himself, conducts himself well, delivers a message. He's been on major news agencies recently bringing the information out. He's bringing out decent whistleblowers and trying to move disclosure forward in ways that we're not seeing from others who are in league with with the UAP Disclosure Fund or like Saul or anybody else. He's consistent and he's there. And he's, you know, if anyone's got the torch of disclosure trying to be the leader that Lou said he doesn't want to be, I think Jeremy's got it right now.
Yeah, you know, for all of us, you know, Ross is claiming he's a reporter, and you know, actually, I think the one true one who is actually a reporter at the moment is Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah. I would agree. Yeah. I'm with you 100% on this, Andy. I've been talking about this for a while, and it's refreshing to hear someone else jump on board.
Yeah.
Tia, your hand is up, my dear lady. Long time no talk.
Hey. I agree with you, Andy. And you want to know what? It made me agree even more when Nancy Mace pulled that shit at the hearing out from underneath him. It showed me just how powerful Jeremy really is, because they wanted to shut him down. And he confronted him right there. I don't think she thought that he was going to do that so publicly. It just showed me that he's the real deal, that he's the one that you're right, everybody should be watching for. Why would a sitting senator do that? Because she was told to by her, you know, handlers.
Oh, you're talking about Gillibrand?
No, I'm talking about
Nancy Mace. Gotcha. Nancy Mace is in the House. She's not a senator.
Right. Oh, okay. But
talking about the November 13th UAP hearing.
Yep. When she did that to Jeremy and put that other guy on there instead, who had no, like,
Michael Schellenberger.
Yeah, and he should have said something as a reporter, and he didn't. So it just shows that Jeremy's the one that you need to watch for. And he's right. They would never have done that. you know, if they didn't feel that Jeremy had something.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have.
They didn't want that information about Immaculate Constellation from his whistleblower, Matthew Brown, to come out publicly. And Thomas and I broke the story on that before the November 13th hearing. We covered this on the show the entire time. We knew they were trying to either shut that hearing down, and then Matt Laszlo got involved when he heard that we put that out there and reached out to Nancy Mace, who assured him at the time before the hearing and said, come hell or high water, which became her battle cry, that she was not going to shut down the hearing, which was a lie. I mean, she did do the hearing, but what was actually getting shut down was the fact that the executive branch did not want Matthew Brown to come out publicly about what he knew about Immaculate Constellation and other secrets that the government wanted to hide about UAP. Now, eventually, we didn't get to hear from Matthew Brown at the conference, at the hearing, but we did get Lou Elizondo, Mike Gold from NASA, Michael Schellenberger, and Admiral Tim Gallaudet. But what did they say publicly under oath? Every one of their statements was repeated from things that they have said privately and publicly prior to that hearing.
Well,
So
we had
got
the
nothing
same
new.
thing when David Grush came out. He repeated the same information that he gave in his Ross Coulthard interview. If anything, he toned it down a bit from what was said in his prior interviews, but it was the same content.
Correct. But the only difference being with Grush is when he did the interview initially with Ross Coulthard, he wasn't under oath at the congressional hearing. When he spoke on July 26, 2023, he was, meaning if any of those statements were a lie, he would potentially be facing federal prison. So that kind of, I think, upped the ante a little bit of what he did come out and say publicly.
Right, but
that wasn't
I
my
have to bring
point.
up really quick, Mike.
Go
No
ahead.
one's gone to prison yet for lying to Congress.
That's true. Very, very good point. It's
While they're going to be
absolutely
investigating Brennan and Comey for lying to Congress, I think this is one of the first times that that's going on in history. So they may actually prosecute him for it.
Well, wait a minute. President Trump's personal attorney, Michael, what's his name? Didn't he testify and lie under oath to Congress and went to jail
Yeah, he
for
did.
5 years?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. So his name slips my mind at the moment. His last name was
Michael Cohen. Cohen.
Michael Cohen. That's it.
Yep.
You got it. Yeah, Michael Cohen did, and they nailed his ass to the wall because he wasn't a sitting member of the government like, you know, any of the people who have testified like Grush. So I think it's maybe a little different when you're dealing with a civilian who lies under oath to Congress as opposed to a government or former government employee. A little different with the national security clearances and things of that nature, right, Thomas?
Yeah, it is. You think?
Oh, a little
Also,
bit.
they can't control Jeremy either, Mike, like they can everybody else. So that's also, you're probably right, why they tone it down, government officials, because they have to, right? They can't make Jeremy tone it down. They can't shut him up like they can, you know, everybody else that works there.
Well,
Yeah, he's
They
independent.
weren't expecting. Yeah, he is. He's a civilian. He has no NDAs that he's violating. He has no national security classification to violate. He has nothing that would put him directly in jail. He is a civilian. And they didn't expect him to stand up at that hearing and threaten Michael Schellenberger publicly, telling him, tell the truth about where you got that report. And he thought that they were going to drag him out of there kicking and screaming, but they didn't. So that just shows you how culpable they were in the shenanigans that were going on behind the scenes. And then at that hearing, and we've covered this on the show before, during, and after, during that very hearing, we had Mike Rounds, who publicly testified that his statement was, there were questions and people that we were told not to bring out publicly or speak to or speak about. And he made that statement, which confirmed everything at the time that me and Thomas was saying, And then Corbell, after that hearing, came out himself publicly and confirmed everything that Thomas and I was saying about the shenanigans that were going on behind the scenes with Congress. Corbell and Knapp brought Matthew Brown, snuck him into the halls of Congress to meet with Nancy Mace and other members of the UAP caucus. And they concealed him as a cameraman so that he could have these private meetings with them, because he was supposed to come out and testify. And at the very last minute, Nancy Mace pulled the rug out from under them and buried Matthew Brown's testimony from coming out. And we know this because, again, Thomas and I were covering this on the show, and we weren't even sure that they were going to have a confirmed hearing on November 13th. They were still scrambling to do that. Now, we reached out personally to some of the people who had testified at that hearing on the 13th, and we asked them a week before, did they get confirmation yet that they were going to testify? And we were told directly, not yet. So Nancy Mace waited until almost the very last minute before she had these witnesses come and testify at that hearing. It was a big shit show the whole time. And how did they convince her? Well, first of all, she's a sitting member of Congress, and they appealed, as they do to most people in the Congress, to their patriotism. And they said that if they brought this information out, it would damage national security. And they bought into that. The other thing is that they like to use blackmail and leverage. And there were a couple of unscrupulous things that Representative Mace was involved in outside of her marriage, and a alleged sex tape that was floating around that she was told would come out publicly had she brought Matthew Brown forward. So obviously, what was the result of that? She didn't have Matthew Brown testify. So it was a big shit show. And this is what goes on in Washington with Congress, which Thomas and I think we were talking about the other day on the show. Yeah. That this concealment is not just from the top down in the executive branch. Members of Congress are also equally guilty and keeping the truth from coming out to the public. And it's a shame, because we should be getting the truth. We're entitled to it. Something the America and the public can handle. Right, Thomas?
I would think so, Mike. That's what we're here for. A lot of people have said, Lou Elizondo has said many times in the past, including recently several times this year, that Americans, if not humanity, can handle the truth about UFOs and what's going on. And it's something we need to know.
Oh, it is. Because if it's a threat, then we need to be prepared now. For all of us that have families and people who depend on us, including our pets, if we know that there's something imminent that's coming up, pun intended, by the way, we need to know, not be kept in the dark, because the last time we were kept in the dark on intelligence, we had 9/11, 2001, and thousands of people lost their lives over that. Yeah. We don't want that to happen again on a grand
Mike,
global scale.
If disclosure was imminent, where's it at? Where's the beef?
Yeah.
Because clearly imminent means it's going to happen now, but it doesn't look like it at this point.
Right, but we could be caught completely off guard, like when we were blindsided on 9/11. Something tragic or catastrophic could occur that is not something good for all the people on this planet. I would rather know than not know, so that we can be prepared. I think it would be the right thing to do. It's why David Grush came forward and tanked his career. He said it publicly when he testified. The only reason I came forward is because I feel that the public has a right to know that we're not alone on this earth, and that's why I sacrificed my career for that truth.
And he did.
And he did, right? He was 36 years old at the time that he had testified, and tanked his career, married, wife, responsibilities, and he sacrificed everything and then had to deal with repercussions and threats as a result of that since he came out publicly.
Yeah, but where's that op-ed that was supposed to be 2.5 years ago? And then they said earlier this year, it's coming out in the next couple of weeks, and it's been, 3 months now?
Yep. No, we haven't heard word one about that.
So the thing is, we heard people saying that Grush was going to release it. However, we didn't hear this stuff from Grush. So potentially what we could be hearing about this op-ed and other things, Mike, could be misinformation.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I know the op-ed that he put it together. He just didn't release it. I know he got a second DOPSA clearance for that op-ed. He got the first DOPSA clearance to come testify and do the interview.
Yeah.
Then he got the second one, came to New York City in a private secret meeting in Wall Street and spoke to the people who attended about what he was cleared to speak about. And we've covered this on the show numerous times.
Right after it happened, Mike.
And I'll repeat for the audience again what it is that he said and what was supposed to come out in that op-ed. And what he confirmed was the United States is in possession of a craft that is 40 feet in diameter, but over 300 feet on the interior. He also confirmed that the biologics and the bodies that the United States has recovered from those craft are in fact the gray type that people who have been abducted have talked about in eyewitness statements for decades now. So we got little breadcrumbs like that we were waiting to hear more come out in the op-ed about it, and never heard anything after that.
Yeah.
Just silence, crickets.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
You got something, Dave. We'd love to see it, my friends. We would absolutely love to see this. But if we can, getting back to the Tic Tacs and the other situation, we've got a video here of Richard Dolan reflecting on the situation of what Ross had brought out to go ahead and bring some clicks and views his way. Let's go ahead and watch this video clip of Richard Dolan. Let's go ahead and bring it up. Here we go.
Yeah, it's a good clip.
Last week or so, there's been a very strong claim that the famous 2004 Tic Tac UFO or UAP encountered by the U.S. Navy is actually man-made, specifically Lockheed Martin technology. That claim comes from Ross Coulthart, and he said, without qualification, he said, I now know categorically that the Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin technology. Now, he didn't provide any supporting documentation or evidence explaining how or why he reached that conclusion. It's a very firm claim, but so far it's been made without any accompanying technical details or corroboration. And we understand the need to protect one's sources. That's totally fair. But there are some issues here. If we do assume that the Tic Tac is ours, that is man-made, then we've got some serious questions to answer here. How is it deployed? Who authorized it? How could it breach encrypted military communications? How is it able to track aircraft in real time? Who authorized its incursion during U.S. military exercises? And there's more. I'm not saying this is impossible, but if it is Lockheed Martin, I'm not saying this is a slam dunk. And frankly, there are certain things that do not add up in my view. The problem is what we saw the Tic Tac do, that is instant acceleration, seamless control, no heat, no sound, transmedium movement. As far as what we have ever seen electrogravitics do, this goes beyond this. This is not just propulsion. We're talking some level of space-time level engineering. Now, if someone cracked that, okay, fair enough. You have to ask, why test it like this in front of Navy pilots with no coordination, no debrief? Why infiltrate a secure cap point transmitted over encrypted comms? Like, who authorized that? If that was Lockheed Martin acting alone, that's insane. If the Navy was involved, you want to ask who signed off on that. And this is why the whole explanation of it's just advanced tech doesn't really resolve anything, because if it is ours, we're looking, first of all, at a civilizational leap, and one that's being hidden in plain sight with no accountability. And maybe that is the case. I'm not saying this cannot be human, but if you're going to say that, let's show your homework, because right now that story that we did it is just about as extraordinary as the alien one, but which has very little, frankly, to support in terms of any evidence that we've been able to amass over these years.
Yeah, Mike, your thoughts on this one? This is a deep one.
It is, and Dolan really put a bow on top and really tied it up neatly. He's a good speaker. He's very highly intelligent, well-educated, and has a lot of experience on this subject. I agree with everything that he said. You and I both do. We've talked about that. He makes valid points that really call into question some of the claims that are being made. Now, we also know, and we've covered this on previous shows, as far as the story that Ross had put out there about advanced drone technology and then tying it into the Tic Tacs coming out of Lockheed, it's apples and oranges. Why? Because as we pointed out, and we even had Ivan Hanel on the show here with us, his client is the source that had spoken to Ross Coulthart about the advanced drone technology that the U.S. has been working on for decades. He put out posts on social media. He came here on the show talking about it. We've covered this as well, and we know that he also spoke to Ross about this. That would tie into about the advanced technology. But as far as anything to do with Lockheed Martin and the Tic Tac incident from the Nimitz encounter in 2004 has nothing to do with Ivan's client. It has to do with Dr. Stephen Greer, who has put this information out publicly, and those are the unsubstantiated claims that he's been making, and now it seems like Ross is repeating those claims. So it's two completely different things here that are all getting lumped together, but there are different sources and different information that had been coming forward to Ross, and he seems to be conflating the two, and you and I are actively trying to separate the wheat from the chaff for our audience so they know what's true and what isn't.
I know.
Yeah, I hear you. And just for posterity's sake, let's go ahead and bring up that clip of Ross again talking about from his Need to Know podcast. See, we're getting people to look at it, Mike, and I think that was the goal behind it. So this is a post coming to us from Need to Know, or Bryce Zabel is putting this out there. Let me go ahead and bring this one up for us next. Let's get into it. All right. So for those of you who want to see the clip version, here's Ross Coulthart in the latest episode of Need to Know stating to Bryce Zabel that he categorically knows that the Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin technology. So let's play this clip again and see where it takes us.
See where it goes. Yeah.
No, categorically
There we go.
control it. I'm going to leave you with one thought today, Bryce. I now know categorically that the Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin technology. Categorically.
Okay.
The Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin technology. Why are we being lied to? This is the issue. Why is the United States government now participating at White House executive level in collusion with the national security state to keep secret the fact that they've made these advances? I suspect it's because they've realized that they're being overtaken by their foreign adversaries, and they don't want you to know that.
Or is it that Ross got this information, Mike, and he drank the Kool-Aid from Greer?
That's certainly what it sounds like to us, Thomas. And you know, Bryce called him out on it, which is good for Bryce. He asked him, well, where did you get this information from? What's the source? And Roscoe's answer to him was, oh, I can't discuss that. Sure, because if he was to say Dr. Stephen Greer, he would be laughed right off a camera. So he can't go there publicly. He's not stupid. He knows that.
Well, don't forget when we had the whole all stuff that came out with Skywatcher and Jake Barber, and they had that big video that they put out as a broadcast on News Nation as a special broadcast, right? We had a video of the egg being picked up by a helicopter, right?
The balloon, yeah.
Well, whatever it was that they had picked up or dropped off going along with it, with the line going down and the whole bit. That didn't come from anyone on Jake Barber or anyone else. It came from Dr. Stephen Greer's team. So,
correct.
You know, they put it all together into a giant conglomerate package to try and come with something big and huge. And here's the evidence. Here's the stuff we're going to. But there was no other text or anything to go out there along with the disclosure. And based on what Ross had put out with David Grush in the past, Coulthart has had a lot of people in the community behind anything that he brought forward and said. These days, not so much.
Right, unfortunately, because we know the sources that he accessed and the information that he got, and he seems to like to tie everything in together under one point that he's making. And it seems like every time he says, and I'll leave you with one last thing. That's when you should take it with a grain of salt. I could already smell the flames on the bridges burning right now as we speak, and I really never wanted to go there publicly, but since we're here already, I could just say it's unfortunate, and his credibility is going to suffer as a result of that, and people that are close to him have already advised him not to drink the Kool-Aid,
Right.
and he has chosen to ignore those warnings. So it's going to be on them to deal with the consequences. All we can do is point out what's true and what isn't for the audience.
Mike, I'm going to give you the helm for a second here. I know Andy has his hand up. Go ahead, Andy, and I'll be right back.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, mate. What's up?
Yeah, so I'm going to put. I doubt Ross will ever see this, but I'm going to say.
Oh no, he will.
I'm going to
He
put it
sees the
straight
show.
to Ross. Ross, if you are watching this, show us the evidence. You say you know categorically that this Tic Tac is Lockheed Martin. Show us the evidence. If not, put up or shut up, please. Because, yeah, sick and tired of it. Trust me, bro, don't work here no more. I'm really sorry, but yeah, I'm a pretty chill guy, but you've got my hackles raised up. My hair should be standing on end. I'm that angry with you. Don't say I know categorically. The same with the UFO, the giant UFO, Oh,
Right.
I know where it is, but guess what? I can't tell you. It's down to national security. Put up or shut up, man. You're probably getting paid an awful lot of money to be on whatever TV news channel you're on. Don't work now anymore. I'm sorry, but yeah.
News Nation.
News Nation.
He's under
there we go.
contract.
Yeah. So under contract with News Nation, put up, shut up, or tell us the truth. I think people are sick and tired of all of this bullshit, really.
Yeah, which goes into the story that we have on the title card for today's show, how the UAPDA was omitted and left out of the NDAA for 2025. That goes to show you that disclosure is dying in Washington.
Yep.
And we're not moving forward one bit. When claims like this are made publicly, but there's no proof to support or back any of it up, the public gets frustrated. You're not the only one, mate. Everybody gets sick of this shit.
Yeah, credibility goes right out the window. As I said earlier on, people might not like Jeremy Corbell, but from what he did, I put a comment in chat about what happened at the latest hearing where they shut his Matthew Brown, whistleblower down and claimed it was Schellenberger's work. Jeremy had every right to be pissed with them. And what did he do about it? He didn't put up, he didn't shut up, he brought his whistleblower forward. Jeremy, if you ever see this man, brilliant. 100%, mate. You are doing the grand job. I don't give a shit what people say anymore. And yeah, I don't swear on here. And yeah, I've used a couple of fruity words, but it's getting to this point. People need to either, words are greater than, actions are greater than words, aren't they? Jeremy proved by his actions he is true to his word. I think that's what people really need to think. I'm sorry, Ross, your words are not greater than your actions.
I agree. But if a lot of the people out there in this community took your words seriously and followed up on them, I have a feeling that it would get very quiet. If people weren't able to speak without being able to back up with credible evidence the claims that they're making, all you would hear out there is crickets. And that's something that the public is really getting frustrated with. Go ahead, mate.
I'm going to quickly chip in. I think that's what we're at the moment anyway. We seem to be getting these, trust me, the new word on the street, trust me, bro. There's so many trust me bros out there now that people are getting frustrated because this is all it is. Oh, I know where this is hidden. I know categorically these things are true. Well, show us a fucking proof. I'm sorry, I don't like swearing on
that's
here.
fine.
But yeah, this is probably a glass of whiskey has helped, but actually, people need to put up and shut up. Put up or shut up now. So
yeah. And honestly, Andy, the trust me, bro dialogue has been used for the longest time going up against Lou Elizondo by the debunkers. But the truth, where we're at now in disclosure, it's being used more by the more than just the debunkers. It's being used by people throughout the whole disclosure community.
Yeah, and Lou, I think Lou has done some good in the community. But yeah, and if Lou ever sees this, I am on your side, sir. But do due diligence. Due diligence. If you're going to produce a piece of information, make sure you don't bloody say on the day you get that information that, oh, look, this is what I've got. This is what is, giving these people who are trying to shut this down the opportunity to shut it down. Now, if these people are wanting to have the issue shut down, Lou or Ross or whatever, maybe time to move aside. Let people who genuinely want to know what the hell is going on with these situations. We're all here. I think almost everybody in this chat, in this show, is here because we've experienced things that we can't understand. We want to find out what the hell these are. I've seen things, I've got no idea what they are. I am here because I am curious and I want to know what I am seeing. If it is genuinely black projects, very well, so be it. But if it's something other than black projects, then let us know. Let the people know. We're grown-ups here. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate that. Daryl just raised his hand. Go ahead, Daryl.
Andy, when are the UFO hearings in your country?
I don't know.
I honestly haven't got a clue at the moment. They haven't announced, I don't think, and it'll probably go under the radar if it's anything else like this country, to be honest.
If I could address that right now, we're in the era of rumor and speculation on that. There's been rumor of people talking about potential hearings happening, but we haven't heard any announcements from anyone who's in Parliament. So that's part of the problem, Daryl.
And then the other question I had for you is Capel Green. Are you familiar with that, Andy?
No.
That's the new documentary Thomas talked about a second ago, or last night, I think, about Rendlesham Forest. So it's the new 2025 4-hour-long documentary, but it's being released on the 20th in your country.
Okay, I'll have to make a note of that.
That's all.
Yeah. Interesting things, to say the least. Mike. What an interesting show so far today, my friend.
Oh, it's been a lot of fun, Thomas. The audience enjoyed it. I've been enjoying the conversation so far. Yeah. Good work. Very well done, my friend.
Yeah. Things are quiet out there, but we're trying to find what we can go ahead and potentially cover on Disclosure tonight. And we're going to keep it going as much as we can. But, Mike, is there anything else we haven't covered here yet today? Tia Maria, before we get to that point, go ahead.
I wanted to ask Thomas what you thought about the UFOs in Greenland.
UFO from Greenland?
Yeah, there's quite a few of them, and they're really cool.
I haven't seen any videos of those.
Really?
Yeah.
We would have covered it if we did, Tia.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna have to get you that video.
I mean, the only video that I have of a UAP that potentially looks like something interesting that could be real. Let me see if I can find this one. I just got back. No, not that one. Okay, so this is a video as known. Let me just go ahead and bring up this particular post on this one with Thomas. Here we go. So this is a video that is known as a ship of light. This ETE-7 that I describe, usually found in Central and South American Mexico. This species flies in and out of volcanic tubes, and the protective heat shield that surrounds the craft makes it look like literally flying lava. And this one, while I can't figure out where the hell this was recorded at, there's some kind of building or some kind of structure. It almost sounds like it. like this is recorded in a plane potentially, but I've seen stuff like this in the past where you've got the overall shape of the potential saucer with the aura around it. I haven't seen a video like this in a long time, but this one had just popped up on 2 days ago. So this is probably one of the better UFO videos that I've seen throughout the last couple days.
There, there's the military base up in Greenland.
Yeah.
With some nukes too.
I didn't know we had nukes in Greenland.
Yeah, we do. And they're all over there. I mean, the people that have videos and they went, I don't remember exactly who it was that went up there, but the videos, I mean, they're out. These things are zipping all over the place up there.
I'd be happy to check into it, and it's something we'll look into, right, Mike?
Yeah. Send me and Thomas the links. We'll investigate it, and if it's something interesting, we'll cover it on the show.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow, Mike, a great show tonight.
Yeah,
happy Saturday to all of our friends in the UK. Hopefully your temperatures are going to be getting a little cooler, but let me bring up my weather app and take a look at Bristol. Well, Bristol's now down to 67 degrees Fahrenheit, but you're not out of it yet. You have some highs in 86 tomorrow and then down to 83. Actually, high of 86 today, going down 83. So your temperatures are going to be dropping on a daily basis. So I think you're out of the worst weather right now, Andy.
I hope so, mate, because it's not been fun. I think I picked the wrong time to be growing all of this, didn't I?
There you go. You can always pull it back into a man bun, I guess.
Oh, good God, do not. Sorry, mate, but yeah, you've gone down in my estimation. I will never wear a man bun. I'll have a ponytail, never a man bun.
I'm just giving you a hard time, my friend, because I can.
Yeah, that'd be too, mate.
Because we love you, Andy, and you know.
Yeah, I love you guys too. So yeah, I'm not. No offense taken.
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. As we go ahead and wrap this up, I want to go ahead and thank Anonymous Rex for our one and only super chat we got today. Thank you very much, sir. All the money that comes in Disclosure tonight goes back into our production fund. We are thankful and very appreciative of the super chat we got today. Thank you very much. We had a lot of great interaction from the chat, Mike. I appreciate you coming out today.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. And I also want to thank our good friend Gene Sticco, the author of the book Engineering Infinity.
Right.
From the reverse engineering that his father-in-law had done over in the old Soviet Union. Thank you for joining us on the show again tonight, Gene. It's nice having you here.
Oh, thanks. I'll say it once, I'll say it a million times. I learned so much from you guys, and I value being able to sit back here and just listen to all the expertise that goes around. So thank you.
Absolutely.
I also want to say you did a great job with the Tim Ventura on the alternative propulsion, the APEC channel. I saw your presentation. Very nice, Gene. Good job.
Yeah, thanks. That's a tough crowd for a non-scientist to speak in front of.
Yeah, they're all scientists, and they study this. So you were in the right place at the right time, Gene. Good job, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike, and as we usually say, Mike, you there?
Yeah, right here.
All right, and as we usually say, Mike, at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody, but
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely, we'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. We'll see you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.